But pick up a point here I'd like to dwell on. The notion of the oneness of God and the notion of the individual seem at variance to each other. But in some sense are both true. We're individuals who are part of what we might call a communion, a fellowship, which constitutes, I hesitate to say higher order, but an amalgamated order of things. Just as the body is one person of billions of cells, each one having life. Each one's important to me in its way, and yet the me seems to be this amalgam, this massing of the whole thing together. And at both the cellular and the macro level, micro and macro level, they're both valid. You know how there's sort of the yin yang, there's the black and the white, the light and the dark. Well, I think I've got it that life is at the small and at the great. You might think of it as people and as God, and that God is acted out in this amalgam, his being. He's a communion of many beings, but at the same time, that constitutes his singular being, the family, if you like. There's a singularity, you see. Now, of course, I'm saying there are many families, and the many families make up a community, which again has its own being, by which I mean there's a spirit behind the manifestation of such that's caused the manifestation to come about. And that this, in the now eternal view of things, can be at smaller and smaller levels, down to the human cell and the particles that make up the atoms, and they all have life, individuality, and yet they all contribute to the life that's inhabiting the amalgam. So when we see a society going to war, as we do at the minute, I'm 6 years later than the first three parts of this number, aren't I? 2026. We're in the Iranic war, and Ukrainian war's been going a bit longer than that. This is the childhood of this greater persona, personhood, that's in its childhood, which we call this world. It's a childhood phase, this world, all of it. It's millennia. And we've seen civilizations in it rise and fall. each one another life of, the being that's drawing it together, a child, but will be a fantastic being as our God, just as we individually become such in this milieu of this greater child's being. Well, I think greater simply in terms of size and complexity, but not even sure of that. These are things that you could say are irrelevant to us, dear one, in that we're just preoccupied necessarily with where we are in the development phase, but that God's creation, beyond the friendly persona that of Krishna in the Hindu faith, or Jesus in the Christian view of things, faith, that God is awesome. Chapter 11 of the Bhagavad Gita. Beyond what Arjuna can contemplate, even with the special experience that Krishna gives him, to see his true nature, or part of it, which seems infinite to Arjuna. It's just so awe-inspiring that I think it's either the end of 11 or we get to chapter 12 where it just says, "Give me relief, Lord. It's too much for me. I tremble. I'm fearful." And Krishna does. And there's more chapters to follow, but at the level that Arjuna, you and I can take, and that's enough for the child. Our Heavenly Dad makes it possible for us to continue the progress without being swamped by it and overcome. You see, our trust is that our God loves us. And it's this trust in the child that is so delightful to the adult, to the parent, that this little soul just looks at you and trusts you utterly. You could say, well, they have to. True, but they do. They see you as the fount of all blessing. And you are. You're the parent. And somehow that is absolute joy to you, the parent. Be assured, dear one, that you, yes, you and me, are an absolute joy to our Heavenly Dad. Not because we're perfect children, but because they are absolutely wonderful parents. And they bring this goodness out in us by their love and care of us. Love you, Heavenly Dad. Love you. Thank you, Dad.